What's going on, everybody? It is Jamie.
And John.
And welcome to the A-to-Z Reseller Podcast, episode 25. Can you believe that?
25 already. That's crazy.
Yeah. We should make it a point of every 25 we'll do a live. We've talked about it for a while and never did it. I don't know if we'll have people jump in here or not. You know, we'll try to pay attention to the chat a little bit. But how was your week?
Man, the week was pretty good. I started to sort of shift some things to eBay that I had down in the booth, like video game stuff. And a lot of that has been selling really well. But then otherwise, a little bit of car trouble in the personal life, but that's taken care of now. And overall pretty good. It's been pretty relaxed. How about yourself?
Yeah, pretty good. I've been trying to finish off stuff in the shed to get it completely usable. The moment I'm still just like picking my orders and bringing them back in the house. I'd like to get to the point where I can just ship my orders out there, which I do have internet out there and it's set up really well. And so everything's going the right direction. I just don't want to jump. I just want it to be like where I want it to be so that it's, I don't want to sort of walk into it kind of like halfway done and then figure it out later. Although
Right.
like everything, it's never going to be perfect. Sales and everything though, pretty good. Happy. I'm sure the amount of sales maybe not the best, but the things that are selling are good value. It's funny how that works, right? I could have a week where I sell only 3 or 4 things, but if they were, I don't have weeks like that anymore, but if they were like high value things, it doesn't bother you so much. I've had weeks where I sell a bunch of stuff that's like worthless. It feels like it's worthless because at the end of the day, it doesn't total up to a lot and you put in a lot of work, which is sort of, obviously the thing you have to figure out for yourself, how you want to sell, right? Are you going to sell a whole bunch of stuff with like a combinations of values, or you want to only do high profit stuff? Really, for me, it's whatever I can find. I'd like to say there was another way to put that, but I'm not going to turn down an opportunity to make money on something because it's not like I have an abundance of things that are worth a lot of money to pick up.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. Like I kind of have like this thought process of, well, I'd like to at least make, $10 profit on it or something like that. Yeah. But the reality is if I'm, at a yard sale or I'm somewhere and I just see a bunch of cheap stuff and I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. And I know I can make a few dollars on this. It might be relatively quick sales. I'm cool with that. And when you have a week where it's like all that lower end stuff and it's like, man, I sold like 50 things this week and it's how much? Like it can be a little bit disappointing, but then again, it is still cash flow. Cash is king, and that if nothing else, you're continuing to like build a customer base. Maybe on eBay you get like more feedback, although at this point it probably doesn't matter now that, like, I don't know what your number's at, but I'm sure your number before your star is up over the 1,000 mark. I'm close to that. It probably doesn't matter as much now as when you're a newer account, but it's still kind of nice. See that number grow, maybe get some more positive feedback and maybe get some repeat buyers.
Yeah, actually the repeat buyers is good. I've had a couple of those this week, and it always tends to be on either electronics or video game type items that I notice that. I don't get a lot of repeat buyers on clothing. Not to say that you couldn't, and probably lots of people do, especially probably if you're selling maybe more like women's stuff or like fashionable stuff, and somebody might come back to you because of that reason. For me, do you find repeat buyers a lot of times are electronics and video games?
Yeah, I definitely get a lot of repeat buyers, like for local stuff on video games, especially on eBay. Typically, when I've got a good amount of video game stuff listed, then I'll see some repeat buyers. And then other times, I'll see I see repeat buyers a lot on Poshmark with women's clothing. Right. I've got a lot of repeat buyers over there.
Well, that makes sense. I know because I know you love talking about women's clothing, but
I love it.
Yeah. But you kind of, I wouldn't say specialized, but you in particular pick up a lot of just plus size stuff, right? Because those brands tend to.
I do. Yeah. It's it's the kind of stuff that like plus size women clothing in a few select brands can be your bread and butter, and enough if you can find it and source it, that like that can be the baseline of your business. So because clothing is so abundant in my area with the thrift stores that I have, I did that. And I find like it seems like, due to the feedback that I get on Poshmark and stuff, is that, it's not easy for women to find like, nice plus size clothing and stuff in abundance. So when they see somebody who sells it and like, the brands they like their J. Jills or Torrid or stuff like that, then they know they can go back and probably find something else. So, it's serving probably a fairly underserved market, at least here in Canada, on Poshmark. I mean, maybe not so much, but I'm probably one of the few guys who's selling a lot of women's clothing, plus size women's clothing on Poshmark. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't discriminate whatsoever. I would sell lots of men's clothing, women's clothing. It doesn't really make too big of a difference to me. But I do know, like, I'm sure, for myself, for clothing, if I find something I really like, I'm usually like an XL, 2XL, somewhere in there, depending on the brand. Those sell out super quick. You know what I mean? I'm sure it's the same for plus size women in those. There's probably that size there. Maybe it's the 1X, the 2X that go fast, something like that, and they're hard to get. I don't know.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. So, and yeah, like when it comes to the guy stuff, I mean, 2XL, sure, but like 3XL and 4XL tees and stuff, especially like Harley tees.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get a ton of money for them, but they're going to move really fast. So like I will always buy Harley tees or similar type of stuff that's kind of like a little bit cheaper, lower end stuff as far as dollar value goes. But if I'm in my thrift store and I see like 5 or 6 of them lined up, I just grab them all automatically, because I know even if they have holes or even if they have stains or whatever, they're still going to move for a profit really quick.
Yeah, I think the biggest I've personally found was like a Harley 5XL, because they seem to always have the bigger sizes anyway. But yeah, I think 5 is the biggest I've seen. There probably is bigger than that. I have no idea. But
yeah, the largest size clothing that I've sold so far, and again, this is no judgment, just observation and reporting the info, was, I believe it was Torrid brand, and it was a dress, and it was a 6X.
Okay.
Which, I mean, that is a large dress. I'm a small guy, so for me, it was kind of like funny holding it up or like trying to put it on my table and stuff to get the measurements. It's like I'm tiny next to this thing, but so I see some of that. Typically, the biggest I'll see is like 3 and 4 in Torrid, which does sell really fast. But yeah, sometimes I'll see 5 and 6.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, because that brand is catering to plus size, right? So yeah. What about eBay? Has your eBay kind of picked back up a little bit?
It has, but I've also been infusing some more video game stuff to it. So it definitely has picked up. And, like this week that we're currently on, I do my sales report from Sunday to Saturday. We're on pace, depending on how today and tomorrow goes, to be potentially one of the biggest weeks so far in 2024, after having a very slow summer. But obviously, again, a lot of that is infusing, a lot of video game stuff and selling stuff from my own personal collection, some like $50, $60, $70 items and stuff like that. So it's nice. I mean, it's been a nice little infusion of cash, especially where I had to get some brake work done on the car and stuff like that. But I would say eBay as a whole, I've talked about it before, where you just know when things aren't really jiving on eBay, when you just can never send out offers. And that's back. I mean, that is back now. And, I can go and open up the app however many times a day and at least send out like one offer usually. So, or I wake up in the morning, go into it, I could send out 7 to 10 offers or something. So the traffic's definitely coming back.
Yeah. I've actually noticed a pickup on clothing sales on eBay as well. Because I would say the last few weeks I've been doing okay on eBay, but it's been more hard goods or video games, or maybe like a jersey or something, but not just typical clothing. Where this week I've got more jeans and polos, and I think like a bathing suit went out, and some shoes, which has been the big thing for me. Is like, especially over the summer, there was just no clothing moving on eBay for me.
It's true. And actually it's hilarious. I need to look this up. So when you said about clothing and then turning back on, it made me think about how slow the summer was. and for clothing as well. And then just also how seasonal this is. Okay, so my softball season just ended. You know, like we played softball in the summer. We're approaching fall. I know we're not there yet. It's still summer, but I just sold a pair of new with tags Wilson like softball baseball pants, like the pinstripe, like actual baseball pants.
Yep.
And they're going to a place in very rural BC, and the buyer actually paid $26.21 to ship them from Nova Scotia all the way to this rural spot in BC. But they're buying new baseball pants at the end of August, which for me just seems a little bit strange timing wise. I mean, if you need them, you need them. But the really cool thing, I'm looking at it here, and when I noticed it this morning, I laughed so hard because when I started my current inventory system, my SKU system, it was like, say, February of 2022 or something like that. So it's been 2.5 years.
Yeah.
This is the oldest SKU number currently in my inventory. It was box 1, bag 002.
Wow.
And so this thing was inventoried in February of 2022, and meaning I've probably had it before that, months, right? Like,
oh yeah.
So it's just hilarious. Like it was just weird to see that turned on along with other clothing sales as well, some good sweaters and stuff like that. But just seeing that pair of baseball pants, it was like, that's not my sale of the week, but that's a hilarious sale of the week for me.
Yeah, it's fun. I always feel like whenever I start thinking about getting rid of old inventory or doing a cleanup to see if there's anything that maybe I shouldn't have around anymore, then stuff like that starts to sell that you've had forever, and it makes you rethink everything. It's like, oh yeah. Do I just leave it alone and someone will eventually buy it? You know what I mean? It really depends on space and if you care.
But I have had 5 boxes of VHS down at my booth, and they've been down there for about 5 weeks. Nobody has even cared so much as to look at one. And then we made the decision that, okay, we're taking them out of there. It's just too much space to take up. Like, it's obviously not working. So we made that decision in that morning of Saturday or Sunday, whatever the booth was last week. And then that day, someone comes in, buys a handful of them. And then I get a message on Facebook Marketplace, because I had an ad there as well. Oh, hey, like I see you got this one and this one, can we work out a deal and stuff? It's just so funny because here are these like probably 200 or more VHS sat for 5 weeks and nobody cared. Yeah. But the second I'm like, well, we'll just take these down and I don't know, we'll probably just end up donating them. Then people want to buy them.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I heard on you. So I just watched your latest What Sold video this morning, and
yep.
Sorry to hear that you're maybe pulling out of your booth. But what do you think is the problem there? Just not enough traffic, or is it something else?
I think it's not enough. I think it's not enough good traffic. I live in a very rural area, but I'm between a couple of towns. There's people out. There's lots of events always going on the weekends and stuff. Even on days when we get a lot of people come through, like maybe 100 or more people come through in the 4 hours, nobody's buying anything. Nobody, they're looking around, they're walking around. It's like everybody's just out browsing around for something to do.
Yeah.
And nobody is spending, even in like my booth and other booths where things are actually priced reasonably. It's like, I don't know what people are expecting. So, just no one's buying. So for me, really, other than a few things that we've sold, mostly what I've sold is video games, which is fine. And it would be good to have the opportunity to sell them, but I already marked them below market value because I'm thinking about well, what would I get, after fees and stuff if I sold these on eBay, and, I can make deals and things like that. So yeah, I've sold a few $100s worth of video games, but I'm already giving a deal and stuff on that. So I don't really want to invest more money to stay there so I can give even more deals on stuff when I could literally just list this stuff from home, sell it on eBay, and make as much money without having to pay the booth fee, right? Yeah. So if there was more stuff other than the video game stuff that was selling, it would probably be worth it. But to me, that was I was hoping it would do what it did, but then also the other stuff would sell, right?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, one of the good things about it, I guess, is you did make a couple contacts of people who
Yes.
want to repeat buy from you, right? So that's cool. I mean, so it's not as if it. I'm sure the experience was interesting, regardless, even if you don't. Well, yeah, I think you did say you're kind of deciding that you're not going to renew right now, anyway, right?
Yeah, I've got so we're doing this on Friday, so I've got this weekend, tomorrow and Sunday that I'm paid up for. And, you know, I mean, unless some kind of crazy miracle happens this weekend, I think it's just a case of, all right, well, you know, thanks, but no thanks. And we'll be in this week to clear it out.
Well, this is a long weekend. You never know. People might get out and have that last sort of. I realize technically summer is longer than Labor Day, but I think in a lot of people's minds because, well, I'm just speaking for Ontario. Most people are back to school after this, and summer's over. Technically, summer's not over, but you know, for a lot of people, it really is.
Yeah, for sure. This long weekend, actually, there's a huge like motorcycle event in my neighboring town. There's actually a couple of them throughout the summer, but this is like the big one. It's called the Wharf Rat Rally. Okay. And there's because it's like a fishing town, and I don't know what the normal population is, but let's say it's 2,000 people. There's probably like 20,000 people in town for this weekend.
Yeah.
Now, whether that translates to any of them coming this 15 minutes my way and, you know, doing some shopping or whatever, I don't know. Probably not. Maybe some people will come by. We might see some traffic, but it's probably going to be a lot of like people who are visiting, probably people even like coming on their bikes or something and like not wanting to buy a box of video games or something else. And then how the hell do they take it with them, right? So.
Well, that's pretty cool. We actually have something similar here. So I'm close to the lake, but a little bit further down the same lake is a place called Port Dover, Ontario. And every Friday the 13th, they have a motorcycle rally, and people come from all over Canada, all over the US, and this little town that probably has the same as what you're saying. I'm not sure the population, but definitely probably less than 10,000 winds up with like 50,000 people. Usually there's usually like armed cars and like there's extra police presence, and it's a big thing. But that's pretty crazy. It brings for that one. It depends on the year. Sometimes there's a couple Friday the 13th. Obviously, when it lands in winter, they're not so big because people aren't going to come down here in the snow. But they get pretty wild, and it turns like a little sleepy town into like a pretty wild place for a day.
Yeah. This whole weekend is going to be basically a huge party, and you know, it's funny. Like it's such a tradition and a local culture. You know, because there's a lot of biking here as well. I think that like, yeah, there is some increased police presence, but I think it's probably one of the safest times to ever be around here because like, you know, no one's going to let anything go down or get out of control. Like, you know, these are some these are some professional guys, right? Like they're driving around having fun, having a good weekend and stuff, and keeping it under control. And I think you know, to their credit, the police force here just kind of lets it go, and you know, no one causes any problems, and have a 3-day party.
That's awesome. That's sort of what you like to hear, because a lot of times things get too policed, if that's the proper way to say it. It just takes all the fun out of it. Where I mean, there's obviously a limit to people's fun, but if you like just inflate it totally, it's like kind of pathetic, really.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, but no, I mean, you know, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm probably done with the booth this weekend, and then, but I've already started moving, like I said, some of that video game stuff over to eBay, and that's where I've been making some good sales and stuff, and that's why my numbers are up. Wanted to give it a chance in the booth and stuff first, but you know, enough's enough, right? I just want to make the sales.
Yeah, I agree. My booth is still doing fairly well, still increasing. I have this weekend before I have the total numbers for the month, which I'll probably update that on my channel at some point, but it's definitely up again. Very happy. I also, I'm addicted to this. I need a sponsorship from it's Brisk.
Oh, you got the Brisk.
Zero sugar. I think because it's in the tall can, it makes me feel like it's like an adult beverage, even though it's just iced tea. Zero. I don't think it's 0 calories. 10 calories, no carbohydrates, guilt-free. I love it. It's my new favorite thing. I need a sponsorship, I think.
It's so funny that we both drink like sugar-free drinks. I mean, we've never talked about it. There's no reason for it to both happen. I don't think it's a very common thing, really. And here we are, just two, guys in our 40s that just happen to also drink sugar-free drinks a lot. And I know a lot of people don't like it, but I love this Zevia stuff. Hashtag sponsor me Zevia because I need the money.
Yeah.
And so this is the cola, and this one actually does have caffeine in it, but yeah, it's sugar-free and 0 everything else. But I love this stuff, man. I could suck back like 10 of these a day if I could handle the caffeine.
Yeah. I think for me, now we're gonna get off track here for sure. I think for me, unless it's beer, which I love beer as well, I don't love drinking empty calories. I just think it's crazy how many, when you start looking at like how many calories, it's like eating an entire meal sometimes. I'm just like, I just don't like that. And I don't like the sugar dump you get from like drinks like that. It's like, oh, I feel great. And then you just like crash. Just not for me anyway.
Yeah. See, I love to nap. So I overeat and overconsume sugar daily because if I crash and need to go to sleep for a bit, I'm cool with that.
That's all right. Yeah. Good point.
I don't know if it's healthy, but I do it.
Oh, well, you're still, alive and you've made it this far. So it can't be that bad. How about Poshmark for you? Has it been pretty good too?
Yeah, Poshmark has been decent. So I've done a couple of live shows, like silent shows, where I've made a sale or two, which is nice. It's always nice to actually like set those up and make a sale. And usually I'll do like, 20 to 25% off on those because it's a number I can live with, if I make the sale for a little bit less, right? But yeah, I mean, so that's been going pretty good. I haven't been selling any like huge bundles the last couple of weeks, but I've sold, I sold this one sweater that was like $58, another one that was like 42, like, so some good like $40 to $50 range stuff. Definitely seeing the fall attire, picking up. People are buying for the fall for sure. And, even like a couple of winter jackets and stuff like that have sold. So, and obviously it makes sense for that stuff to go on Poshmark because of the cheaper shipping. So, it's picking up and I'm hoping that it continues to pick up. So I'm going to really continue to push like right now in my silent shows. Just get ready for fall, winter's coming kind of tags, and just really pushing people like, okay, gear up for the upcoming season and try to get a good head start on those Q4 sales.
I think you hit it right on there because for me, the same thing. It's been hoodies, cardigans, either jeans. I think I just sold a pair of corduroys. It's definitely fall stuff. I think on Poshmark.ca, maybe even like a windbreaker, like zip up, stuff like that. Like right now, if you've got fall stuff, I mean, even stuff you might consider somewhat springy, like I would list all that stuff. I mean, I don't usually list by season, but some people do hang on to it. Like if you're hanging on to that stuff, I would say now is the time to list it because that's the stuff.
Yeah. Get it up now. Don't wait until like the end of September or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then a couple of other things that have sold on Poshmark. A couple of older items. I've been clearing out some old stuff. Like I talked about those baseball pants that were like my oldest SKU. Some of the like really old stuff that I have that I honestly don't even care if I make $0 on it at all, or if I've even lost by the time I sell it. Just to make those sales and to have that traffic and that little bit of cash flow, like I'm sending out really aggressive offers on my old stuff that I really don't want to hold on to any longer. So like I sold a pair of women's cords that, maybe they were a $20, $25 pair of pants that just never sold. Like I just sold it for $8. It's like, just get out of here, go away, So at the end of after the fee, I'll make $4.05. Well, I probably at some point 3 years ago picked those up at my regular store and paid $7.
Yeah.
So I'm out $3, but at this point I don't even care.
It's better than donating it for sure, right? Like, I think there's always the right time to clear stuff out like that when you can. There still might be things that just won't sell, but
Yeah.
I think that's a better way to do it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it builds potentially a repeat buyer. If someone buys this $8 pair of pants and was like, okay, well, maybe those photos look kind of crappy because that was John's early listings, but man, this pair of pants was actually really nice. And, maybe they'll come back and buy something for $12 next time. Like something I actually make some money on.
Yeah. I actually had an interesting Poshmark experience this week that in the moment, I'm pretty sure I just thought this person was being a total turd, to put it politely. But I was having a really bad day, and somebody left me a 2-star review, or whatever, not review. What is it? Maybe it's a review.
Just
2-star.
the love note. Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. Said could be cleaner and packed. Pretty much, it was like crumpled in a bag or something. I'm like, so right away, I'm like, okay. So I looked at what it was, and it was a Nike run hat. And I pack all my hats in a box. So I know it's in a box. I would have put packing paper, put the hat in there, and folded it in. It did come from that big bulk hat buy, and I would have only wiped it off. So chances are it could have been a little dirty, but not disgusting dirty, or I wouldn't have sold it. It's a used hat, and it was $12. So you bought a $12 hat. So I kind of like messaged them back and said like really, a 2-star review? This is a $12 hat, and it was packed in a box nicely, and it's used. It's not going to be in brand new condition. And they made a snarky kind of reply to me about how it was packed, and I just I'm like, I'm going to stop right now because I don't really need that. But I should have never done that. I should have just said sorry. I should have went and just said sorry for your experience. I'll do better next time, and let it go, because I have the money. The sale's over. There's a certain percentage of people that are like that, who just have an opinion and want to give that 2-star review or be like kind of jerky. It's so hard not to get pulled into that game, right? I know we've both talked about that before, and you kind of do it. You kind of do, and you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't. You kind of feel a little cringy after. But so, yeah, I guess I probably was in the wrong. But if I'm going to be honest with you, it was a nice used hat. I don't know what the problem was.
Yeah, honestly, I had a similar story, but I mean, it was a 4-star. It's just, but the thing is, I get it. It's like, you're really going to give me less than a 5-star rating because of some perceived BS that you just made up, So like,
yeah,
this person said that, they bought a secondhand pair of pants, pre-owned used pair of pants, that in the description gave the measurements, and in the description said, hey, there's a little spot right down at the bottom of the hem, showed it in the pictures and everything. And then they give a 4-star instead of a 5 that says, this took forever to get here. And also it was dirty down at the hem, but it's okay because they got to be hemmed anyway because of my measurements.
Yeah.
So what the F is the point in saying that, giving less than a 5-star? And I mean, I know that nobody else can see that. Like literally it's only us that can see our own ratings. Nobody else can even see that. Oh no, I guess that maybe they can if they provide actual written feedback.
It's the comments though.
They can see the comments.
But the comments are private until.
Right. Yeah. Okay, well, in any case, I messaged them, and I did the same thing. It's like, I should have just kept my mouth shut, but I did it anyway. I was like, so you're in BC, and I'm in Nova Scotia, and I shipped this out within 2 days of when, you place the order. So fast enough to be a Poshmark ambassador.
Yeah.
So clearly fast enough, within 2 days, and you received it like a week later across the country, which is X many kilometers, and the spot that I'm assuming you're talking about is the one that said spot in capital letters in the title and was also shown and described in the description.
Right.
So I honestly just can't understand why you would leave a 4-star instead of a 5. I mean, just don't even leave a rating, right? Anyway, they didn't reply to me. But then afterwards I was like, maybe this person just, I don't know, maybe they were having a bad day. Maybe they didn't think anything of it. Why am I even caring about this? But I don't know. If it's less than perfect, I do care about it. It kind of bothers me because I take pride in, like, packing things well enough, getting them there well enough. We're selling used clothing. It's not like you bought some $100 collector's item and it arrived with a ding in the case or something. Like, that's not it. You bought a pair of pants. Like, calm down.
I know if you look, I'm sure yours is the same. If you look at my feedback on eBay, it's not perfect, but you'll notice that I pretty much undersell and give a way better product than I'm actually giving, right? Like, and you can tell by people's feedback, like, oh, there's a lot of them that is like, oh, this is better than I expected, or it's, even if it's just shipping, it arrived a lot quicker. It's usually people who are over the top happy about what they got. There's no reason to pull the wool over somebody's eyes. You're just going to get yourself in trouble. Like, that's what's frustrating, I guess, when you know that you're doing your best to describe whatever you can, and it just still comes back on you. It's like there's just a certain amount of people who are unreasonable. I believe that's the
yeah, that's what it comes down to. And under promise, over deliver. I mean, that is the best customer experience, right? It's like with anything, like in my regular job. Yeah, we can do that in 10 weeks.
Can we?
And then 6 weeks later, it's like, all right, hey, good news. This is ready to ship.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But actually, we can't take it yet because we don't have a space in the yard for it. So can you hold it there for us for 4 weeks? we do get that a lot, but that's okay. That's a different story. I don't want to get into that. But yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna have to do our sale of the week because we're doing this live a little bit different. And we have some people popping in and out. If anybody wants to chat or leave comments, we'll try to get to those. This was we kind of knew we were going to do a live, but we didn't really talk about it or build it up. So I don't really expect a bunch of people to watch live or anything like that. But we'll leave this up as episode 25 still, which is pretty good. I'm really happy that we've made it at least this far. But yeah, do you have a particular sale of the week this week, John?
I do. So I'll just share my other phone screen. So this is Legend of Zelda Ocarina 4. And what'd you do? Okay, there we go. Yeah, so Legend of Zelda N64 Ocarina of Time. And so that was a complete in box copy. So it had the case, the manual, and the game in there. And looking at market value, price charting, and stuff like that, kind of had it around 150, 160. But the manual had some dings and stuff, and sold it on Facebook Marketplace to a guy for 120. So that was a good sale. And that came out of my own personal collection. And I thought 120 was a fair price given the condition and stuff. So, yeah, that was a good sale.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I hit like 12 buttons that I shouldn't have there for when you started.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering what was going on. I actually didn't know that you were going to back out and like make me bigger. So at first I thought we completely failed in this whole live stream thing. So, but hey, good news. We didn't. We're good.
Yeah. So I had, let's see here. So I had an eBay sale. This was from my latest garage sale haul video. So I'll just throw it up here. It's the PlayStation Slim. I got $105 for it. Actually, when I was editing the video, I actually already sold it. So in the video, the sold that you've seen was actually my sold in that video. But it was super quick. I paid $50 for all of the stuff I got in that haul, including what is it? SP? Sorry, Nintendo Game Boy Advance, but the square one.
Oh yeah, the SP. Yeah,
SP. I've sold that already without the battery for I think $70 for parts and repair, just because I didn't want to buy the battery. I think I've got 45 Skylanders. Sold some of the games out of that already. I'm already doing really well off that one sale, which I knew that it was. The crazy thing about that particular sale, I got there while he was putting stuff out, and I'm like, okay, cool. And I seen the kind of stuff he had, and I'm like, okay, even better. There's a lot of video game stuff. There's a lot of records. I started flipping through the records first, and then I said to him, were you out here Friday too? And he's like, yes. And I could tell because the records that were there were pretty trash. and it looked like they were like kind of like beat, like it just looked like somebody just like ripped through them recently. So then when I seen video game stuff, I'm like, okay, so all the good stuff's probably gone. What can you salvage, right? But there was still lots of good stuff there. So I don't know if he just found more stuff to bring out, or people overlook stuff, or maybe the day before there was so much good stuff, and this was just, even though it was good to me, you know,
Right.
other people were like, we'll leave that crap there.
Right. I didn't realize that the PS2 Slim was going for $100 at this point. That's pretty cool.
The white,
because
silver,
I think I sold a couple of them before, but more in like the 70 to 80 range.
Yeah. And that was with just, I didn't even have to give the power cord to get that price. I just did because I have an extra one. I'm like, well, I don't need two. So I didn't have any AV cables. I have them to test with, but I didn't have any to give away with that one. Yeah. But I know the silver one's worth more than that. And I think the white one is too. There might even be a red. They did a few colors, but yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a good system. I remember buying one of those even after I had a PS3, PS3, just to play with my kids. What was it called? Buzz something. It came with like little controllers with like 4 lines on it.
Oh,
Jungle Party, and then there was a bunch of different versions of it. They're just like little party games, and you had like
yeah,
controller.
yeah. I know what you're talking about now. I never had it, but I saw it like recently. And when I say recently, within like the last 3 years or something, and I actually didn't even know that it ever existed. So when I saw it, I was like, what is this? And then I looked it up and realized it wasn't worth grabbing to like resell or whatever at the price they were asking. But yeah, I love the PS2. You know, I'm going to go on a little gamer rant here for a second. I think the PS2 to this day, and I know it's a controversial take for a lot of people, but I still like playing PS2 more than probably any other console. And people are going to be like, well, why not PS3, PS4, you know, Nintendo Switch, stuff like that. Yeah. I don't know. There's just something about the PS2. I think the controller was perfect. Yes, of course, like the Xbox 360 controller came along and I perfected the dual stick. But like, there's just something so nostalgic about the PS2, and about like the graphics were good enough that you could like get into the game, but they weren't so good that like everybody was only focused on graphics and putting out crappy games as a result, which you see in a lot of the newer systems. You get complete garbage shovelware, but it looks great, you know? So I don't know. I think PS2 is like this perfect blend of it looks good and plays good. I got a huge PS2 collection. So yeah.
Yeah, I've always been a Sony fanboy. Like I've always kept up with all of those systems, even up to current, the PS5. But Nintendo still has my heart. Like if I would have to say favorite console, probably N64. It's just fun.
Yeah. N64 is my favorite console, even though it's not like there's nothing particularly amazing about it.
Yeah.
But I don't enjoy playing it as much as PS2, if that makes any sense. I got like a favorite and then one that I actually understand to be the real reason, like the real one that I actually like playing the most.
Yeah, I can tell you at that point, Nintendo did not perfect the little C controller. That controller is like, once you got used to it, you were just, you just liked it, I guess, or you just understood it, but it was not user-friendly whatsoever.
Yeah, it's so funny trying to explain like, you know, new players getting into Call of Duty games and stuff, and like shooter games, you know, with like the 2 sticks, and obviously like the Call of Duty games and stuff are just, you know, really, really good shooters. And then trying to explain to them, to these same people that, well, back in my day, we had 1 stick, which was in the middle of the controller, and we had these 4 little yellow C buttons, and that's how you turned and strafed. And it's just like, oh my God, so primitive. But it was cool at the time. Like GoldenEye was amazing. That was a game changer.
Was amazing. So my wife, when she plays Call of Duty with me, she started playing shooter games on the original Xbox, I think. And I can't remember the game, but the controls were inverted. So you remember when you pressed up, it went down and everything was backwards.
Mm-hmm.
She has to invert her controller to that to play it. So it's like if she's like, here, you know, I got to go to the bathroom, play this for me. It's like, no, I can't even use this.
Okay. See, now I'm with her on this one.
Oh, okay, that's you too.
See, the people who don't invert and up is up and down is down, I get it. I understand why that makes sense to you. But I can't help but think about it in the same way as if you're controlling like an airplane or something. You know, you tilt forward to look down. You tilt back to look up. So that's just the way my brain's wired. I need to use inverted controls.
Yeah. Oh, it is a normal thing. I mean, that's why it's an option, but default option is not that.
Right. It's such a point of contention of the gamer community, though. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I honestly like the keyboard controls too. Like when you're using a mouse and you set your finger, like that's a perfectly good shooter position too for me. But you know, it's controllers have come so far. You don't need all that anymore.
No.
Yeah. So we did get a little bit off of reselling there, but that's totally fine. That's what we've been doing. This new format, like when we started this podcast, we kind of had a formula where we were going to talk about a couple of topics, sale of the week, and you know, maybe end with a certain topic or a point. I kind of like we've took a new look at it, and I don't know if it's been. You think it's been a 50-50 split? Do you think it was that like halfway point we've just changed this?
Yeah, probably about there.
I feel like it because I just felt like, okay, if we just keep it the way we're doing it, we're going to run out of topics or have to go over things. Or I think where we're just have little bits of life updates, talk about how reselling is going. You know, I think it just winds up being a better conversation. I mean, I could have this conversation with you once a week without recording it. Like, you know what I mean? I just enjoy our conversations usually.
Yeah, I think for me it's the same way. I mean, this feels more natural. It feels more authentic. It feels less like a report for the week and more like a just chat about how the week has gone. And not to say there's anything wrong with coming in with a plan or having, you know, topics that you think you want to talk about. So of course, if anybody's watching this and, you know, you got something you want us to talk about, I mean, put it in the comments, let us know. And, you know, we'll obviously touch on it. You know, we've done that before, but it's easy to stay a little too rigid, I think, when you come in with like, okay, here's the outline for the call. Do not deviate.
Yeah.
No, this is good.
It is good. And I kind of like the fact that, you know, I think we've only had like one, maybe two times where we couldn't figure it out for the week. It's not the end of the world. You know, we try to do this once a week. We try to upload every Friday. If we miss one once in a while, you know, forgive us. We're human. And yeah, I mean, my goal, I would think if we could get by the end of the year to 100 subscribers, I'd be so happy. If we don't, I'd still be very happy. I think YouTube is such a grind. And the fact that we could even pull, I think we're at like 70, 71. It goes up and down. I don't know if you ever look. Even your own does. It'll go up and 10 and big dips. But I think 70 is not bad. We've obviously drawn people in that have watched my channel and your channel. And, you know, we've probably found some people who maybe found us for the first time. But I think it's been good.
Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, I don't think either of us really expected this to, you know, go viral and become millionaires off it or anything. Wow. But it's a good way for me, like just for me personally, I think it's a good way for me just to like take the time to reflect on how things are going in my reselling business and also in my life and how that work-life balance is going. And if I don't have this outlet, not to say that I would never think about those things, but I mean, this is a good enough excuse or reason just to take the hour to be like, okay, what is the state of the union here? And is there anything I need to adjust? And otherwise I might just kind of go on autopilot and, you know, just kind of keep doing the same thing and not really reflect on what's working or not working.
Yeah. I know for me, it's definitely a very healthy thing too. I'm sure my wife can only listen to so much of what I have to say about eBay and Poshmark and things like that. Right. I no longer have a work family. I'm doing this full time. So I don't, you know, if I went to work, we would talk about work related stuff, or you'd have like inside jokes with your buddies. It's me and my cats. And I get to talk to you once a week. And, you know, there are some other people that I talk to through the week, but I mean, it's a totally different dynamic for me. So to be able to talk to somebody like-minded, who understands reselling, maybe if I'm irritated at something like a 2-star review, you understand it. You're not just going to brush it off. Like it does mean something.
Yeah.
So to me, there's a lot of value in it.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, hey, I work from home, so I don't have a lot of those same like work dynamics and stuff as well. You know, it's me and my cat, and yeah, of course, same deal. You know, I got people I kind of talk with throughout the week and stuff. But I mean, this is, you know, I think we talked about this before. We're not like super social, extroverted people, but
No.
kind of like when you're playing The Sims, you gotta like, you know, raise their social meter a little bit. Like you need to do some things, or your sim gets too sad or depressed or something. So this just fills my bar a little bit, which is good.
Yeah, that's perfect. Anything? I know we normally go about 45 minutes to an hour. I know this is last time I did a live on YouTube. I went 3 hours. I don't expect to do that. I think if we keep it in the same window here, that'll be totally fine. But anything you want to touch base on before we get out of here today? It's a weekend as well. Happy Friday, everybody.
Yeah, and I'm on the East Coast, so it's going to be my weekend before your weekend. I get an extra hour. That just means I start earlier on Tuesday. No, man, I think I'm probably pretty good. I mean, it's been, you know, it feels like we're turning the corner on that summer slowdown. You know, try to just stay positive through all of that when things were looking a little bit bleak, and you know, continuing to just, if I didn't have something to list every day, at least go back and play with older listings and do some end sell similar, stay active on Poshmark and stuff. And I mean, yeah, we're coming out the other side of it. So hopefully everybody else seeing those same results.
Yeah, I know. I've been really thinking about going back in now that I have all my inventory out in the shed. I've been thinking about going through maybe even a bin a day of clothing and just totally relisting. I've also haven't given up on my Poshmark.com experiment. I feel like I'd love to move. I started and never even moved the entire category of shoes over. I got caught up doing something else and put it on the back burner and never went back to it. But it was actually pretty good. I found like my items, I don't know if it was because they were relisted as new or if it was actually around .com. But I'd like to spend some more time on that to see if like .com outperforms .ca, because I've always just been on .com, or sorry, .ca. I have not really messed around with .com too much.
Interesting. Yeah, it'd be good to see. I would love if it happened that my little third-party trucking company that's down the road from me that I use for UPS or Purolator or whatever else, you know, the random few times I do, if it ever happened that I could use them and do like cross-border shipping and get on Poshmark.com, I would like to give it a go and just kind of see how it works. But because obviously there's another almost 400 million potential buyers.
Yeah.
But you know, at the end of the day, this is the price I pay for living in very rural Nova Scotia, I guess.
Yeah. We'll talk briefly after this is over, but on the video that's going to come out, I don't know if I'm going to schedule it for later tonight or tomorrow, but I'm talking about a little bit about Stallion Express home pickup, which I know when we started, I had told you I thought I messed that up, and luckily my package just got sent off today, so everything worked out good. But that alone would give you the opportunity to sell on Poshmark.com. I'll explain it a little better to you to see if you'd actually be interested, but you could do it right from your house, and it would cost you, I think, very little. And that's, I know, I don't want to put words in someone else's mouth, but I'm pretty sure Tabs, that's what I know she's using Stallion, and I'm sure that's the same method she's using.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. All right. So I want to thank anybody who's watched this. Obviously, we're not, like I said, we're not flooded with comments or anything. We're going to leave this up on the channel as a video. So this is going to be episode 24. I'm going to download 25. Thanks for the correction. I'm going to upload this to Spotify. So if you're listening to this later, this was a live. But yeah, thanks everybody for stopping in today.
All right. See you guys.